Chapter 1: The Forgotten Harbour. In the late 14th century, on the sunlit shores of Genoa, Italy, a bustling harbour city brimming with trade and maritime ambition, there lived a merchant named Pietro Bellucci. Pietro was no ordinary trader. His reputation for sharp judgment and an unerring sense of opportunity made him one of the wealthiest merchants in Genoa. His sprawling mansion overlooking the harbour was a testament to his success, adorned with tapestries from the East and filled with treasures brought back from distant lands. However, Pietro was also known for his uncanny ability to spot hidden value where others saw ruin. While other merchants relied on established trade routes and predictable goods, Pietro thrived on unpredictability, often venturing into the unknown to secure his fortune. One crisp morning, as the salty breeze carried the cacophony of seagulls and the clamor of dock workers loading goods onto ships, Pietro found himself in a crowded tavern near the harbour. The establishment was filled with sailors sharing tales of their voyages, merchants negotiating deals, and adventurers boasting of their exploits. Pietro enjoyed these moments of observation, often finding inspiration in the unguarded conversations around him. On this particular day, his attention was drawn to a hushed exchange between two sailors seated in a shadowy corner of the room. "I'm telling you, it's not worth it." "That ship's cursed," one sailor whispered, his voice tinged with a mix of fear and intrigue. "Cursed or not, the Marina Fortuna is still there," the other retorted, his voice gruff and dismissive. "If someone's mad enough to take the risk, they'd find it loaded with goods. Spices, silks, maybe even gold. But no one dares. The crew, they just vanished." Pietro's keen ears caught every word. His mind began to churn, piecing together fragments of the sailor's tale. The Marina Fortuna, a merchant vessel of considerable size, had reportedly been caught in a violent storm while navigating the Ligurian Sea. Stranded in a secluded cove along the coastline, it had been abandoned ever since. Superstition and fear kept everyone away, for the ship's crew had vanished without a trace, fueling rumors of a curse. To most, such a story was reason enough to avoid the ship. But to Pietro, it was an opportunity. A ship abandoned but intact? "There's treasure in ruin," he mused, his fingers tapping rhythmically on the wooden table as he pondered his next move. The prospect of a vessel laden with goods, untouched and ripe for the taking, was too tantalizing to ignore. Where others saw misfortune, Pietro saw potential. The following morning, Pietro called upon his trusted aide, Marco. Marco had been at Pietro's side for years, proving himself loyal and resourceful. With a build that belied his quick wit and a knack for navigating treacherous waters, he was the ideal companion for such an endeavor. "Marco," Pietro began, his tone resolute, "we're setting sail. There's a ship, the Marina Fortuna, stranded along the Ligurian coast. It's said to be cursed, but I believe it's an opportunity waiting to be seized." Marco's brow furrowed, but he trusted Pietro's instincts. "The Marina Fortuna? I've heard the stories. Are you certain about this, master?" Pietro's lips curled into a confident smile. "Fortune favors the bold, Marco. Prepare the vento argento. We set sail at dawn." The Vento Argento, Pietro's sleek and reliable vessel, was soon stocked with provisions and a small crew handpicked for their discretion and courage. As the first rays of dawn painted the horizon in hues of gold and crimson, the ship departed from Genoa's harbour, its sails catching the brisk morning wind. The journey along the Ligurian coastline was uneventful at first, with calm seas and clear skies. Pietro and Marco pored over maps and charts, calculating the location of the rumored cove where the Marina Fortuna lay in wait. As they approached the secluded harbor, the atmosphere grew tense. The crew whispered among themselves, their apprehension palpable. The cove was hidden by jagged cliffs and dense vegetation, giving it an eerie, almost otherworldly quality. When the Marina Fortuna finally came into view, it was a haunting sight. The ship's once proud masts were splintered, and its sails hung in tattered shreds. Barnacles clung to its hull, and the faint creak of wood echoed across the still waters. Pietro and Marco disembarked cautiously, their boots crunching on the pebble-strewn shore. The air was thick with the scent of salt and decay. As they approached the Marina Fortuna, they noticed its gangplank had rotted away, forcing them to climb aboard using a makeshift ladder. The deck was eerily silent, save for the occasional groan of the timbers beneath their feet. Inside the ship, they found signs of chaos. Crates were overturned, and barrels lay scattered as if abandoned in haste. Yet, amidst the disarray, there was undeniable evidence of great wealth. Barrels of spices, bolts of silk, and chests filled with rare gems were left untouched. Pietro's eyes gleamed with a mix of awe and determination. "The curse is fear itself," he muttered under his breath. As they continued to explore, Marco's lantern illuminated an unexpected discovery, a meticulously kept ledger tucked away in the captain's quarters. Pietro examined it closely, noting the detailed accounts of the ship's last voyage. It spoke of trade with distant lands and hinted at a secret known only to the crew. The ledger's final entries mentioned a perilous journey to the Levant and dealings with an enigmatic community of artisans renowned for their extraordinary craftsmanship. The discovery only deepened Pietro's resolve. He saw not just the riches aboard the Marina Fortuna, but the potential for something far greater. "This is just the beginning, Marco," he declared, his voice filled with conviction. "We'll return this ship to its former glory and uncover the secrets it holds." And so, with the promise of fortune and mystery ahead, Pietro and his crew set about salvaging the Marina Fortuna. Little did they know, their journey was only beginning, and the path forward would test their courage, ingenuity, and resilience in ways they could never have imagined. Chapter 2: The Hidden Treasure. The Marina Fortuna was a haunting sight, a relic of grandeur caught in time. Its sails hung in tatters, flapping in the sea breeze like spectral banners, and its hull bore the scars of a violent storm, deep gouges in the timber, and shattered railings that spoke of a fierce battle with nature. The ship's figurehead, once a proud carving of Fortuna, the goddess of fortune, now stood weathered and cracked, her expression eroded to a haunting visage. Despite the damage, the ship's main structure remained intact, its iron-fastened beams a testament to the exceptional craftsmanship of its builders. Pietro and Marco approached cautiously, their small rowboat rocking with the waves as they drew closer to the spectral ship. The air grew heavier as they climbed aboard, carrying the pungent mingling scent of the sea and decay. Yet as they stepped onto the deck, another aroma greeted them, the warm, spicy fragrance of aged cinnamon, mingled with a hint of nutmeg and cloves. Pietro paused, inhaling deeply. "The scent of fortune," he murmured. Marco, less poetic, looked nervously at the shadows cast by the sun through the broken rigging. The ship's interior was a dim labyrinth of decay and unexpected treasures. Sunlight pierced through gaps in the woodwork, casting long beams that danced with the dust stirred by their footsteps. Barrels of spices, their tops sealed with wax, sat undisturbed in the hold, their contents as valuable as gold in the markets of Genoa. Bolts of silk, miraculously spared from the ravages of damp and time, gleamed faintly in hues of red, blue, and gold. Strewn among them were loose gemstones, scattered like forgotten stars. Pietro knelt and held a sapphire to the light, its brilliance undiminished by years of neglect. "A king's ransom," Marco whispered, his voice tinged with awe. But Pietro's sharp eyes were already scanning beyond the obvious wealth. Among the opulence, an object of greater significance caught his attention, a ledger. Bound in cracked leather and embossed with an unfamiliar crest, it lay atop a chest of intricately carved ivory. Pietro carefully opened its brittle pages, revealing entries written in an elegant, practiced hand. Each page chronicled a journey of extraordinary scope and ambition, destinations that spanned the Mediterranean and beyond, and transactions conducted not with coin, but through intricate barters of rare goods and services. The most intriguing entries detailed a voyage to the Levant, where the Marina Fortuna had engaged with a secluded community of artisans known for their mastery of glassmaking. According to the ledger, these artisans produced glassware of such quality and durability that it was said to be unbreakable, coveted by nobles and monarchs as priceless works of art. Detailed notes described the arduous negotiations, the exotic items traded for the glass, and the precise coordinates of the artisans' hidden settlement. Pietro's mind raced. This was no mere ship's log, it was a map to an empire of wealth and exclusivity. If he could retrace the Marina Fortuna's route and establish contact with these artisans, he could monopolize a product that would redefine luxury across Europe. But he also recognized the risks. The ledger hinted at the artisans' fierce secrecy and mistrust of outsiders. The route was perilous, crossing pirate-infested waters and requiring delicate diplomacy to avoid turning potential allies into foes. He looked up at Marco, who was studying the treasures around them with wide-eyed amazement. "This isn't just a ship, Marco," Pietro said, his voice low but charged with conviction. "It's a gateway to a fortune beyond imagining." Marco frowned. "But at what cost?" The crew disappeared, and the ship was abandoned. "What if the curse is real?" Pietro's lips curved into a small, resolute smile. "Every great endeavor begins with a risk. We found the key. Now it's up to us to unlock the door." As he carefully closed the ledger, Pietro's resolve solidified. He would not let fear dictate his choices. With the Marina Fortuna and its secrets, he would embark on a journey that could reshape his destiny and the fortunes of Genoa itself. Amid the opulence, Pietro's sharp eyes fell upon an object of greater significance, a meticulously kept ledger. Bound in leather and embossed with an unfamiliar crest, the ledger's pages were filled with detailed accounts of trade, destinations, and curious annotations. Pietro and Marco pored over the entries, piecing together the story of the Marina Fortuna's ill-fated journey. The records revealed that its last voyage had been to the Levant, where its crew had engaged in an extraordinary barter system with a reclusive community of artisans. These artisans, the ledger noted, were famed for their unparalleled skill in creating glassware, not just any glass, but a kind said to be unbreakable and of unmatched clarity. It was a treasure coveted by the courts of Europe, where monarchs and nobles alike valued it above gold. Pietro's mind raced as he deciphered the details. Here was not merely a ship's log, but a roadmap to a potential empire of wealth. If he could retrace the Marina Fortuna's route and establish contact with these artisans, he might secure an exclusive trade deal that no rival could challenge. The prospect was dazzling, but the journey was fraught with danger. The waters they would traverse were rife with pirates, and the artisans themselves, if they still existed, were known to be fiercely protective of their craft and deeply distrustful of outsiders. Pietro's heart quickened, not with fear but with resolve. "Every great endeavor begins with a risk," he murmured. With Marco at his side, he vowed to take the first steps toward a gamble that could redefine his destiny and the future of Genoa's trade. Chapter 3: The Gamble. Pietro's friends and competitors were quick to deride his audacious plan, branding it as the foolish endeavor of a man blinded by ambition. Investing in the ill-fated Marina Fortuna, a ship shadowed by tales of misfortune, and embarking on a treacherous voyage to chase a vague legend seemed like a reckless gamble to all but Pietro. Yet his resolve was unshaken. "Fortune favors the bold," he would proclaim, his voice steady and his eyes gleaming with determination, as he poured the last of his savings into repairing the ship and assembling a capable crew. The preparations for the journey were extensive. The Marina Fortuna was not merely patched, it was overhauled to withstand the hazards of the open sea. Pietro insisted on fitting the vessel with reinforced timbers, superior sails, and a hidden arsenal of weaponry, should the need arise. As word of his enterprise spread, seasoned sailors and adventurers curious about his ambition joined his crew, some lured by the promise of riches and others by the magnetic charisma of a man unafraid to defy the odds. The voyage to the Levant began under clear skies, but the Mediterranean was an unpredictable mistress. In the early weeks, the crew endured fierce storms that tested their mettle and the ship's resilience. Waves crashed against the hull with relentless force, and the winds howled as if to warn them of the folly of their venture. Pietro stood firm at the helm, his confidence unshaken, directing his men with a calm authority that inspired trust even in the direst moments. It was during one such storm that their mettle was truly tested. Lightning illuminated the horizon, revealing the dark silhouette of a pirate galley in pursuit. The crew braced for battle as the Marina Fortuna was rapidly overtaken. Knowing that a direct confrontation would mean certain doom, Pietro devised a bold plan. Feigning surrender, they allowed the pirates to close in, only to detonate a concealed cache of gunpowder when the enemy ship was within striking distance. The resulting explosion was devastating, creating chaos that allowed the Marina Fortuna to escape unscathed. The crew's cheers echoed across the stormy seas, their faith in Pietro cemented by his quick thinking and daring. The journey was not merely a test of physical endurance, but a trial of the spirit. Weeks at sea bred uncertainty and fear among the crew, and the whispers of the Marina Fortuna's cursed legacy resurfaced with each hardship. Yet Pietro remained a pillar of unshakable determination, constantly reminding his men of the extraordinary rewards that awaited them. He shared his vision of a future where their names would be etched into history as pioneers, and his words rekindled their courage time and again. After enduring countless trials, the Marina Fortuna finally arrived at a secluded harbor shrouded in mist. This was no ordinary port, but a hidden enclave nestled among rocky cliffs, where the fabled artisans resided. The village was a place of haunting beauty, with glass-blown lanterns casting ethereal light over winding pathways and intricately carved structures. Pietro and his men were greeted with caution, the artisans' eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and mistrust. The negotiations that followed were delicate and fraught with tension. The artisans, wary of exploitation and betrayal, tested Pietro's sincerity at every turn. They spoke in cryptic tones, gauging his understanding of the value of their craft. Pietro responded with patience and respect, offering not mere words but tangible demonstrations of his intent. He presented gifts, rare spices, and silks acquired from his journey, and spoke of a partnership that would elevate their art to the courts of Europe. The artisans were unconvinced, however, and issued Pietro a final challenge to create something meaningful with their glass. It was a test of his vision and his ability to grasp the profound artistry they cherished. Undeterred, Pietro accepted the trial, recognizing it as the ultimate gamble to prove his worth and secure the alliance he so desperately sought. Chapter 4 of the Pact. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the secluded village nestled among jagged cliffs, the last whispers of daylight illuminating the glass-blown lanterns that flickered softly in the evening breeze. Pietro's heart raced as he stood at the entrance to the modest workshop the artisans had graciously provided. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of heated glass and the faintest hint of soot from the furnaces that had shaped the masterpieces of the Levant for generations. In the days since their arrival, Pietro had spent every waking moment in the workshop, immersed in the craft of glass-making, an art he had never truly understood, but one that he was now determined to master. The artisans, who had once regarded him with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism, had become his quiet observers, watching him with interest as he worked tirelessly, his every movement a careful study of their ancient techniques. The tools, foreign and sharp, became extensions of his hands. His fingers, once accustomed to handling the finer materials of silk and spices, now grew calloused from the delicate, almost meditative process of shaping glass. The shards of colored glass, which had initially seemed like fragments of a forgotten dream, now held the promise of something far greater, a vision that had begun to take root in his mind the moment he first set foot in this hidden enclave. Pietro's idea was simple yet profound. He would create a stained glass window, a masterpiece that could encapsulate not only the artistry of the Levantine craftsman but also his understanding of their heritage and their values. The artisans revered the sun, seeing it as a symbol of life, strength, and the eternal cycle of renewal. To them, the sun was more than just a celestial body, it was a reflection of the spirit and resilience that defined their culture. And so, Pietro set to work, sketching the design with the precision of a master but the heart of an apprentice. Every line he drew, every curve he shaped, was an act of reverence to the artisans who had shared their craft with him. He chose to depict the rising sun, a symbol of hope and renewal. But he did not merely want to recreate the image of the sun, he sought to capture its essence, the way its light pierced through the darkness, spreading warmth and promise to all who basked in its glow. The process was grueling, each shard of glass meticulously cut and polished, placed with precision to form the rays of the sun that stretched outward in a pattern of concentric circles. The amber and gold glass, carefully chosen for its warmth and depth, shimmered as Pietro worked, catching the light from the flickering lanterns. He chose to represent the early hours of dawn, the moment when the first light of day breaks through the horizon, a metaphor for the new beginnings that both he and the artisans had set in motion with their partnership. The artisans watched quietly, their eyes following Pietro's every move. They had seen many come and go, many who had sought to understand their craft, but had failed to grasp the deeper meaning behind it. But there was something different about Pietro. He wasn't merely trying to replicate the technique or possess the beauty of the glass. He was seeking to understand its spirit, to honor the legacy of the artisans in a way that would carry their craft into the world with respect and dignity. As the days passed, the stained glass window began to take shape, and the work became a symbol of the growing bond between Pietro and the artisans. He was no longer just an outsider seeking profit. He had become part of their story, a link in the chain that would carry their legacy beyond the hidden village. The artisans began to offer their guidance more freely, showing him the subtleties of the craft, the way the glass was heated to the perfect temperature, the precise angle at which it was cut, the method of joining the pieces together to create a seamless work of art. Pietro's respect for their techniques deepened with every lesson, and in turn, he offered his own expertise in trade and negotiation, teaching them the intricacies of dealing with the wealthy courts of Europe. When the final shard of glass was set in place, the stained glass window stood as a testament to both the artisan's skill and Pietro's unwavering dedication. The artisans gathered around, their faces bathed in the soft glow of the lanterns that illuminated the masterpiece. The rays of the sun, rendered in amber, gold, and ruby glass, seemed to pulse with life, casting a warm, golden light across the room. It was a work of unparalleled beauty, delicate yet resilient, intricate yet bold. It spoke of new beginnings, of the promise of prosperity, and of the deep connection between Pietro and the artisans. In that moment, Pietro knew that he had succeeded. He had not only created a piece of art, he had created a bridge, a symbol of the partnership between the Levantine artisans and the world beyond. The artisans, who had initially doubted him, now looked at him with respect. Their leader, an elderly man with a face weathered by time and wisdom, stepped forward to examine the window. He ran his fingers gently over the glass, as if he were sensing the spirit of the work, and then turned to Pietro. "You have shown us that you understand not only the beauty of our work, but also the spirit that it carries," the leader said, his voice low but steady. "You have respected our craft, and you have honored our legacy. We will entrust you with our creations, knowing that you will carry them into the world with honor." Pietro's heart swelled with pride, but he kept his emotions in check. He had known that this moment would come, but it still felt like a victory not just for him, but for the artisans, for their craft, and for the future that they were now building together. The terms of their agreement were simple but profound. The artisans would supply Pietro with their finest glassware, and in return, Pietro would ensure that their creations reached the courts of Europe, where they would be revered as the masterpieces they truly were. The glass, delicate yet unbreakable, would become a symbol of exclusivity, sought after by the wealthiest and most powerful figures in the world. The artisans, however, were not without their reservations. They knew that the world Pietro was offering them access to could be as dangerous as it was rewarding. They spoke of the risks, the dangers of being exploited, the potential for their craft to be taken and diluted by those who did not understand its true value. But Pietro assured them that he would not allow that to happen. He would protect their art, and in return, their partnership would bring them both wealth and respect. With the pact sealed, Pietro set to work loading the Marina Fortuna with the finest pieces the artisans had to offer. Each item was a marvel, delicate glass vases that shimmered with iridescent hues, intricate goblets that caught the light in mesmerizing patterns, and glass sculptures that seemed to defy the very laws of nature with their graceful, fluid forms. The artisans had poured their hearts into every piece, and now Pietro was the steward of their legacy. The return journey to Genoa was not without its challenges. Storms battered the Marina Fortuna, and whispers of the ship's cursed legacy resurfaced among the crew. Some of the men spoke of the ill fate that had befallen the ship in the past, but Pietro, unwavering in his leadership, quelled their fears with the same confidence that had guided them through the initial voyage. The crew, inspired by the promise of a future filled with fortune and respect, followed him without hesitation. The ship pressed onward through the storm-tossed seas, the crew's spirits lifted by the knowledge that they were carrying more than just precious glass. They were carrying the hopes and dreams of a people whose craft had been hidden for centuries, now brought into the light of the world. Pietro's leadership, bolstered by the trust of the artisans, became a beacon of hope that guided them through the treacherous waters. His resolve was unshaken, and with each passing day, the crew felt their belief in him grow stronger. As the Marina Fortuna finally sailed into the harbor of Genoa, the sky cleared, and the sun broke through the clouds. It was as though the heavens themselves were acknowledging the success of Pietro's venture, the success of a man who had dared to dream and had, against all odds, forged a partnership that would change the course of history. Chapter 5: The Legacy. The sea was calm as the Marina Fortuna sailed back into Genoa's bustling harbor, its sails catching the gentle wind that carried it home after a long, arduous journey. The ship had once been a symbol of misfortune and ill fate, but now, under Pietro's leadership and with the treasure it bore, it was about to become a symbol of resilience, triumph, and vision. As news of the ship's return spread throughout Genoa and beyond, whispers began to circulate. The glassware Pietro had brought back was unlike anything anyone had ever seen, delicate yet strong, shimmering with colors that seemed to dance in the light, and crafted with an artistry that defied understanding. Word spread quickly, reaching the courts of the wealthiest nobles and royals across Europe. They clamored to possess the pieces, each one more exquisite than the last, and each a testament to the artisan's craft and Pietro's vision. Genoa, once a bustling hub of trade, had now become the center of a cultural and economic renaissance. Pietro's name became synonymous with success, not only for his business acumen but for his deep respect for the artisans of the Levant and his commitment to preserving their craft. He had created something far more valuable than wealth. He had created a legacy. Pietro, however, was not content to simply bask in the wealth he had accumulated. While many in his position would have hoarded their fortune, Pietro saw his newfound wealth as a tool for something greater. He understood that the prosperity he had achieved was not just a personal triumph, but a chance to elevate his community, to ensure that the city of Genoa flourished for generations to come. And so, with his fortune, he began to invest in the future of his beloved city. He established schools, not just for the children of the wealthy but for all children, believing that education was the key to unlocking a brighter future for the city. He funded trade guilds, ensuring that Genoa's merchants and artisans had the support and resources they needed to continue to thrive. He also became a patron of the arts, funding painters, sculptors, and poets, believing that creativity was just as vital to the city's prosperity as commerce and trade. Pietro's vision reached beyond mere financial gain. He sought to create a city where knowledge, art, and culture could flourish alongside trade, where every citizen, no matter their station, had the opportunity to contribute to the city's legacy. His investments transformed Genoa into a beacon of enlightenment and opportunity. The streets became filled with scholars, artists, and craftsmen, all drawn to the city by the promise of a brighter future. While Pietro was often seen walking among the new schools, visiting the trade guilds, or attending art exhibitions in the city's grandest halls, it was the Marina Fortuna that remained closest to his heart. No longer the vessel of misfortune, the ship had become a symbol of resilience, a testament to the power of vision and determination. It stood as a reminder of the trials Pietro had faced and the risks he had taken to secure his success. The ship, once feared and avoided, now carried the hopes and dreams of an entire city, its sails billowing proudly in the wind as it docked at Genoa's harbor, a permanent fixture in the city's skyline. As Pietro's wealth grew, so too did his influence. His story, one of a man who had faced adversity, ventured into the unknown, and built something remarkable from the ashes of doubt and failure, became a source of inspiration for generations. Nobles and merchants alike sought him out, eager to learn from his experiences and gain his counsel. Young men and women, fueled by the belief that fortune favored the bold, began to take calculated risks, following in Pietro's footsteps as they sought their own fortunes. He became a living legend, a man whose name was synonymous with daring vision and unwavering determination. But Pietro's legacy extended beyond mere wealth and influence. It was rooted in the values he had upheld throughout his life: respect for others, the importance of investing in the future, and the belief that true success came not from personal gain but from lifting others up. He had used his fortune to build a city, to give back to the community that had supported him, and to ensure that the arts, education, and trade would continue to flourish for centuries to come. Years passed, and Pietro's name was etched into the annals of history. His story was told and retold, not just as a tale of a successful merchant, but as a testament to the power of resilience, vision, and community. The schools he had funded continued to educate generations of bright minds, the trade guilds flourished, and Genoa's reputation as a cultural and economic hub spread far and wide. The artisan's glasswork, once confined to a small village in the Levant, was now revered as the pinnacle of craftsmanship, sought after by kings and queens, merchants and collectors alike. But it wasn't just the tangible achievements that defined Pietro's legacy. It was the spirit of his work, the belief that success was not an individual pursuit but a shared journey, one that required collaboration, respect, and the willingness to take risks. It was this belief that had shaped his partnership with the artisans, his investments in the city, and his commitment to preserving the cultural heritage of Genoa. Pietro's story became an enduring part of the city's mythos, inspiring not just the wealthy or the powerful but anyone who dared to dream. Young merchants set out to build their own empires, artists painted their masterpieces, and scholars pursued knowledge with the same relentless determination that Pietro had shown throughout his life. His legacy, rooted in the belief that fortune favored the bold, continued to shape the course of history long after his death. Generations later, the stained glass window Pietro had created with the artisans, depicting the rising sun, was enshrined in a place of honor in Genoa's grandest hall. It stood not just as a work of art, but as a symbol of the partnership that had changed the course of history, a reminder of the power of vision, respect, and collaboration. Pietro's story was passed down through the ages, not just as a tale of personal triumph, but as a beacon of hope for all who dared to dream, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, it was possible to create something enduring, something that would last far beyond a single lifetime. His legacy was not just in the wealth he had accumulated or the city he had built, but in the spirit of resilience and vision that he had instilled in the hearts of all who followed in his footsteps. In the end, Pietro had done more than simply secure his own fortune. He had changed the very fabric of Genoa, transforming it from a bustling port city into a vibrant center of culture, education, and innovation. And in doing so, he had created a legacy that would endure for centuries, a legacy that would inspire generations to come. His name, forever etched in history, would remain a testament to the truth that fortune indeed favors the bold, and that with vision, resilience, and respect for the journey of others, one could create a legacy that would transcend time itself.